Still in the same application as the previous video, we want to look at the second frame and create some buttons that the user will point to one of the presidents and will display their name in this text field down here. So we're going to create a button, first of all, that's going to go over top President George Bush here. I'm going to add another layer on top of my photo layer. And I'm going to name this one Buttons. And I'm going to create a keyframe on the second frame. And then to create the button, I'm just going to take a oval tool with no stroke, and the fill can be any color we want. I'm going to just choose something that's going to be fairly bright. I'm going to draw a circle, and I'm going to draw a rectangle. We'll modify the rectangle just by adding a couple points here and the Alt-Drag method. And there's my button, or it's going to be my button. It's just a shape. And I'm going to right-click on that button and choose Convert to Symbol. We'll make the button, make the type as a button. And I'm just going to give it a name of BTN Prez. And click OK. So it now is in my library over here as BTN Prez, but an instance of that library symbol is here on my stage. I need to give it a name. So I'm just going to call it Bush 1 underscore BTN. And use a lowercase b here. So then I need to code that button. So I'm going to go to my Actions layer and I'm going to insert a keyframe for frame 2. And then go to the Actions. And we're going to write an event handler for this button, Bush1 underscore BTN dot add event listener. And we need a lowercase a. I'm going to use a mouse event. And my event this time is going to be, instead of click, I'm going to use roll. And I'll put a function name of GoBush. I'll just do GoBush1 and my semicolon. And then my function. And so I've got my function set up here in terms of its heading with the curly brackets. I'm ready to type the code in between. And a lot of programming is simply changing properties of objects. And the statement for doing that is simply the name of the object we want to modify, so the instance name, whatever the property is, and there's a dot notation between those, and then setting it equal to some new value. So the example I'm going to use here is president underscore txt is the name of the text field, and I want to change its text property. And so the new value I'm going to assign it is a literal string, in quotes, of George H.W. Bush, and I'm going to signify he was the 41st U.S. president. That same style is used in setting all kinds of properties. So I could change the text color if I wanted, and here I would be using a hexadecimal value of OX00FF00. So the first two zeros there in front of the FF are the red channel, the FF is the green, the OO00 is the blue, and that's going to set the text to green. I might also set the location of a movie clip, its X value, or its horizontal location, to 200 pixels from the left edge. And in some cases, the instance name we're changing may be a couple levels deep. So in this last example, I have a movie clip called mycoolmovieclip underscore MC, and it contains a text box that has an instance name of caption underscore txt. And I'm going to change the text of that caption text box to South Mountain Community College. So there may be several levels of objects here that we can access in our code. So back here in Flash, I'm going to write in president underscore txt as the name of my text box. Dot text is the property I'm going to change. And it's going to be George H.W. Bush. '41st U.S. President. Closing quote, and my semicolon. So that's the code. I notice here I've got a little error in my misspelled event. It's typed event. That should be blue, so I'll fix that. I'm going to click the blue check mark, make sure I don't get any errors. And I don't, so let's test this. And if I point to the green square, it says George H.W. Bush, 41st President. So I'm going to go back to my timeline and make another slight adjustment here. I'm going to add another event listener. I'm going to copy that one and paste. This one's going to be a roll out, so we'll roll over. And I'm just going to say go pres, and we'll write a function for that. And what I'm going to do here is just simply copy that function, paste it, make a modification. And we'll set this back to Mr. President with a couple of ellipses. So now if I test this, when I point to President Bush, it shows his name. If I come out of that button location, it just shows Mr. President. But obviously, we've got a problem here in that we can no longer see him. So I want to make this button to be transparent. Really simple to do that. I'm going to go back into the design mode here. I'm going to double click on the button to go to the timeline for it. And I'm going to come down to the hit state and simply insert a keyframe there. So the area that's going to interact with the mouse is going to be this green area. But then for the up state, I'm going to come over and select that and simply delete it. So there is no contents for up, over, or down, but there is for the hit. And I'll go back to scene 1, and you'll notice we get this gray image of our button. It shows us the hit state, but if we were to run this, when I point to President Bush, it shows that information. If I move my mouse outside of it, it goes back to Mr. President. So now we want to code the other 4 presidents the exact same way. And I could simply come in here and select this button, copy and paste, and place it on the other presidents, and then just change the instance name and write the code for them. And if you need to, you can take the free transform tool. You can make buttons a little smaller if you want. And we'll simply name this last one Carter underscore BTN. This is Clinton underscore BTN, Bush 2 underscore BTN, and Obama underscore BTN. And now all I need to do is go back into my code and write the actions and the functions for those. To save some time here, I have moved forward in the video and showed you the code already entered in. Just to show you a couple things here, all my event listeners, I like to put all my event listeners together in one location, and then I create a series of, or blocked comment above all of those that says these are the event listeners. And a block comment simply consists of a slash asterisk for the beginning and ends with an asterisk slash, and everything in between we treat it as a comment, as opposed to using two asterisks on a line. That's a one-line comment. I also put all my roller events together and all my rollout events together. Again, that's just a personal preference on this particular project. You can organize these however way you want. Then I put all my functions together, and I like to put a single line comment, a row of asterisks between my functions just to kind of set them apart visually. But you can see all these functions are basically very similar in nature, simply changing the text for the text box named president_txt. Notice that all 5 of these event listeners reference the same function. So let's see if this works. I'm going to test the movie. So there's one president, second president, a third president, a fourth, and a fifth. If I roll out on any one of them, it goes back to just saying Mr. President. So we use 5 different instances of that transparent button for our 5 different presidents, encoded each one separately. The last thing we're going to do here is add a button to go back to the title screen. We're going to make that an animated button, and that is our next video.